Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Sunday and Easter, and I hope that you and your family are having just an overall amazing day. Not much of an update here today. Market hasn't been moving too much, but we'll go ahead and review a couple of things here just to be on the safe side so you can kind of stay up to date if that's, of course, something you're planning to do. Now, moving forward, not a financial advisor. I love teaching people how to trade. I hope you can learn something here today, and let's go ahead and jump right in. Oh, also, CryptoCache.tech is the website if you want to become a better trader. Link in the description below. All right, so taking a look here at Bitcoin. Big picture, as per usual, still under both moving averages. Nothing much has changed. Yesterday, we had kind of a low volume day, and the same thing with today. So this does give me the inclination that we might see a decrease in value on Monday, or perhaps even later tonight, just a typical sell-off, because the price has recovered since it closed on Friday, but also kind of gone sideways too. So not a lot has really truly happened, but when you have low volume going into the weekend, there's commonly a sell-off that occurs on Monday. We saw this happen on Monday after a very low volume weekend. Once again, price was at a higher point and now it is lower, essentially testing a key level support. So likelihood of it like dropping that hard or that fast on Monday is pretty low, but we could expect a test or a retest of 39,000. Again, just something to kind of throw out there, get you thinking a little bit. But generally speaking, not in bad shape. Bitcoin is, for the most part on the macro, just kind of going straight sideways and not really doing too much. So in that sense, not terrible. We don't see any kind of significance in that. But if we look at smaller time frames, we probably could identify that. Now let's go ahead and take a look here. RSI at 50. The price is kind of trending closer to 50 now, based on the simple fact that, again, the amplitude that it had to the downside is kind of subsided, so to speak. So now it's kind of just averaging itself out close to 50. And that's good and bad in a sense. Good in the sense that, we're trying to get closer to 50, but bad because we can see this obvious line here where price keeps getting rejected there. We haven't been above 50 since April 5th, okay? So that's been roughly almost 2 weeks now since we've, started this downtrend. Okay, so just something to pay attention to here. Getting back up over 50 on the RSI would be very important. It'd put us up over this resistance level here at about 41,000 or just say 41,600. Those are two key level resistances. But we can also see too as well, if you kind of look a little closer here, you can see that we are getting stuck at right around 40,600. So really close approximate of 40,600. You can see the price keeps wicking past, but cannot ever seem to truly close, at least on the 4 hour. So once again, the more often you test something, the more likely it is to break. So there is more potential to break to the upside in that regard. But once again, 50 on the RSI is proven to be a resistance. And that is essentially right there at that 40,600 mark. Very, very close approximate. Okay, so again, likelihood of seeing a break to the upside is pretty high. But once again, not a lot of volume either. So if we have more volume, which we'll experience later today and or tomorrow, then obviously we'll see that shift in momentum. But it does look like it's preparing and getting ready for a break to the upside more so than a downside, just based on the midterm here on the 4 hour. Okay, 1 hour. Let's go ahead and see if we have anything that's telling. It keeps getting rejected by the cloud, so keep this in mind. Price cannot seem to pass this point. So if the price just continues to go naturally sideways, then it will naturally be above the cloud. And at that point, we could essentially have a buy signal. What that basically just telling us is that the overall average is finally averaged out to be back over these the specific moving averages. And that just kind of tells us that, the bears are losing control, so to speak, because the price is going sideways long enough that the bulls could effectively regain control to the upside. Okay, so this is more positive than negative, but once again, still getting rejected by the cloud, so we just kind of want to pay attention to that. Other than that, let's see here. We can go ahead and take a look at TD sequential. Probably had a bunch of resets. We hit a 6, came down to a 5, back up to a 7. Not a lot really going on. Again, this is weekend behavior, very low volume, and in turn, we're not going to see a tremendous amount of price movement. Just be mindful of the market later today because, of course, Sunday evening, essentially in the States, obviously somewhere it's later in the Eastern Hemisphere, essentially, or early morning in the Eastern Hemisphere. And in that sense, the market opens, China essentially affects the market, and then we start seeing some pretty significant movements. So I would just say be prepared later today for a potential increase, but once again, the likelihood of breaking 40,500 is getting higher the more often we test it. However, once we break through that, how much further will it go? Will we hit 41,000? That's the question that remains to be seen just yet, because it's had some difficulty in this price range. Again, mostly just channel trading here for the most part. Also keep in mind too, we are making higher lows on the 1 hour, which is helpful. But once again, low volume doesn't really mean too much. So there's not a lot of, I don't have a tremendous amount of confidence in this ascending type of pattern, but it is an ascending pattern nonetheless. Okay. So again, not a terrible thing. The likelihood of a breakout to the upside, I would say, is greater, maybe a 60-40 split versus a turn to the downside. The only thing that concerns me, of course, is 50 in the RSI on the 4 hour. We have been stuck under this for quite some time. And this definitive line in the sand is it's kind of telling us that it's not really willing to get past that point. And that could be a potential problem here soon too as well. We'll find out. But nonetheless, I would say slightly more positive than negative, but more so neutral at this point. It's hard to really say specifically which way it wants to go. But basically 39,000 and 40,000, that area there has proven to be a very strong support level based on volume as well as previous support levels. So once again, here at about 39,000, we could very well see a retest of 39,000 here soon. But if so, it should likely hold. And once again, between 37.5 and 39,000 is a nice support channel. We lose that, we'll have a different conversation. But for the most part, we're still ascending. We're still making higher lows on the large time frame and the smaller time frames here. So once again, potential for a break to the upside is higher, but I wouldn't expect a significant breakthrough. I think we're going to have some serious resistance at about 42,000, 41.6, and obviously we got to get through 40,500 first, or 40,600. So generally speaking, again, not terrible shape, but once again, it could be a little bit better, but weekends are really hard to say. So significantly low volume here today, not really helping too much. In fact, Bitcoin is losing market capitalization, which just implies that we're seeing a lot more money going into altcoins, like Filecoin took off recently. I think ICP is ready to take off. There's a handful of other ones that are kind of just taking the overall market capitalization, and I think OGN too is another one as well. But all good stuff here in that sense. I wouldn't worry too much about the bottom dropping out, but a retest 39 I think is still very likely. All right. Well, I hope you found benefit here. If so, like, subscribe, comment below. CryptoCache.tech is the website if you want to become a better trader. I look forward to working with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next one.